It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Your cat is sitting next to your head, meowing directly into your ear. Not the soft little chirp they use when they want attention. This is different. Louder. More insistent. Repeated every few seconds like an alarm that refuses to stop. Eventually, you give up and get out of bed. Most people assume the explanation is obvious. The cat is hungry, lonely. Maybe something is wrong and needs immediate attention. And honestly, those explanations feel believable. But according to the research, what's actually happening is much less mysterious and far more psychological. Because in many cases, your cat isn't meowing because they desperately need something right now. They're meowing because, without realizing it, you taught them the behavior works. Number 1. The reinforcement loop. In 2019, researchers at the University of Sussex analyzed vocal behavior in domestic cats across different situations and social contexts. And one discovery stood out immediately. Adult cats rarely meow at each other in natural social groups. In feral colonies, communication relies much more heavily on body language, scent marking, positioning, and subtle physical signals. Meowing, especially repetitive human-directed meowing, appears primarily in interactions with people, which means something important. Your cat didn't randomly evolve this behavior overnight. They developed it specifically for communicating with humans. And over time, they learned which sounds produce results. Now picture the late-night scene again. Your cat vocalizes. You wake up, move, speak, get out of bed. Even if you're frustrated, your cat's brain registers one critical detail. The behavior changed your actions. And from a learning perspective, that matters enormously. Because animals repeat behaviors that successfully alter their environment. Not emotionally, neurologically. Your response becomes reinforcement. Here's the fascinating part most owners never realize. The reward doesn't even have to be food. Attention works. Movement works. Getting you to stand up works. From your cat's perspective, the vocalization succeeded. So the brain strengthens the pattern. Meow human response. Repeat. Over time, the behavior becomes increasingly targeted and efficient. Your cat experiments with timing, tone, persistence, and eventually, they discover exactly what level of vocalization reliably gets you out of bed. Which means those 3 a.m. wake-up calls aren't random chaos. They're learned communication strategies. A feedback loop built quietly over hundreds of repeated interactions. And the strange part? Most humans reinforce the pattern without ever noticing they're doing it. Once you understand that, the behavior stops feeling mysterious. Because your cat isn't necessarily trying to annoy you. And they're not always experiencing urgent distress either. They're using a communication system your responses help shape over time. But reinforcement is only part of the story. Because the reason cats developed human-directed meowing in the first place reveals something even stranger about how they perceive us emotionally. Karen Kum, who led the study, demonstrated that cats modulate their meows based on what gets human response. The night meowing specifically develops through a feedback loop. Your cat meows. You get up to check on them, or feed them, or give them attention. They learn that nighttime vocalization produces results. A 2021 study at Lincoln University tracked 96 cats over 6 months and found that 73% of cats who meowed at night had owners who responded within 2 minutes of the first vocalization. The cats whose owners didn't respond consistently stopped meowing at night within 3 weeks. What's actually happening is operant conditioning. Your cat has trained you. The specific timing matters. Cats are crepuscular, meaning their natural activity peaks at dawn and dusk. At 3 a.m., they're entering their second activity window. They're awake. They're alert. And they've learned that this is when you're most likely to respond to sound because you're in light sleep, not deep. Number 2, the hunger myth. And what's really driving the behavior? Most people feed their cat when they meow at night, assuming hunger is the obvious explanation. A 2020 study by Drive Saho Takagi at Kyoto University tested this directly. They fed 52 cats a full meal right before the owner's bedtime and monitored their behavior through the night with infrared cameras. 68% of the cats still meowed at their usual time despite having eaten 90 minutes earlier. When the owners didn't respond, the cats approached their food bowls only 23% of the time. The rest engaged in other behaviors like grooming, playing with objects, or sitting at windows. The meowing wasn't about food. It was about interaction. What the research reveals is that nighttime meowing is a bid for engagement, not sustenance. Cats are social learners. A companion study at UC Davis in 2018 found that cats in multi-cat households were 40% less likely to wake owners at night because they had other cats to interact with during their active periods. Single cats, particularly those who spend long hours alone during the day, use nighttime as an opportunity to interact with the only social partner available. From your cat's perspective, you've been gone or unavailable for 8 to 12 hours during the day. Night is when they're programmed to be active and you're finally home and captive. Number 3, the age factor and cognitive decline. There's a second thing happening underneath all of this, particularly in older cats. In 2017, researchers at North Carolina State University studied 154 cats over the age of 11 and found that 61% showed signs of cognitive dysfunction syndrome, the feline equivalent of dementia. One of the earliest symptoms is increased nighttime vocalization. Dr. Natalie Dalgre's research at the University of Edinburgh demonstrated that cats with CDS experience disrupted sleep-wake cycles. Their circadian rhythms degrade, meaning they lose the ability to distinguish day from night reliably. These cats meow at night not because they've learned it works, but because they're genuinely disoriented. They don't recognize their environment. They can't find their litter box or food bowl despite having used them for years. The vocalization is distress, not manipulation. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that cats over 15 years old were 5 times more likely to meow at night compared to cats under 7, even when controlling for medical conditions like hypothyroidism. If your cat is older than 10 and the nighttime meowing is new behavior within the past 6 months, the research strongly suggests a veterinary evaluation. Cognitive dysfunction is progressive, but early intervention with environmental enrichment and in some cases medication can slow the decline measurably. Number 4, medical conditions that manifest as nighttime vocalization, hypothyroidism, chronic kidney disease, and hypertension all present with increased vocalization, particularly at night. A 2018 study at Cornell University's College of Veterinary Medicine evaluated 203 cats diagnosed with hyperthyroidism and found that 84% exhibited increased nighttime activity and vocalization before any other symptoms became apparent. Hypothyroidism speeds up the cat's metabolism. They feel hungry constantly. They feel restless, and they experience what's essentially a sustained adrenaline state. At night, when environmental stimuli decrease, these sensations become more pronounced. Chronic kidney disease produces a different mechanism, but similar behavior. As kidney function declines, toxins build up in the bloodstream, causing nausea and discomfort. Cats with CKD often meow at night because they feel physically unwell and they're seeking comfort or trying to communicate distress. High blood pressure, which often accompanies kidney disease and hypothyroidism, can cause headaches and vision changes in cats. A 2021 study at the University of Pennsylvania showed that cats with untreated hypertension were 3.22 times more likely to vocalize at night compared to cats with normal blood pressure. The science on this is not ambiguous. If your cat is over 7 years old and night meowing has started or intensified recently, blood work and blood pressure measurement should be the first step, not behavioral modification. Number 5, what actually stops the behavior? Ignoring the meowing works, but only if you're absolutely consistent. The Lincoln University study mentioned earlier tracked response times and found that owners who responded even once every 5 nights essentially reset the training. The cat learns that persistence pays off, so they meow longer and louder. Complete extinction of the behavior took 3 weeks of zero response in 89% of cases. Partial response extended that timeline to 3 months or more, with many cats never fully stopping. But there's a more effective approach than simple extinction. Environmental enrichment during the day changes the nighttime equation. A 2020 study at the University of Lincoln tested this directly with 78 indoor cats. Half received 30 minutes of active play in the evening, timed 2 hours before the owner's bedtime. The other half received no structured play. After 4 weeks, the play group showed a 76% reduction in nighttime vocalization. The mechanism is straightforward. Play mimics hunting, which is physically and mentally exhausting for cats. A cat who has stalked, pounced, and captured a toy 20 times in an evening is significantly more likely to sleep through the night. The timing matters. Playing right before bed can increase activity. Playing 2 to 3 hours before bed allows the cat to wind down naturally. Feeding a small meal after play reinforces the hunt, eat, groom, sleep cycle that's hardwired into their behavior. Number 6. When to seek help and what it looks like. If your cat is younger than 7, medically healthy, and the meowing persists despite consistent non-response and increased daytime enrichment, you're likely dealing with anxiety. A 2019 study at the University of Bristol found that 38% of indoor-only cats showed signs of chronic stress, manifesting as excessive vocalization, over-grooming, or aggression. Nighttime meowing in anxious cats serves a different function. It's not about getting you to do something. It's self-soothing behavior similar to a human pacing or talking to themselves when stressed. These cats benefit from pheromone diffusers, increased vertical territory like cat trees, and in some cases anti-anxiety medication prescribed by a veterinarian. Dr. Sarah Ellis, who led the Bristol study, found that environmental modification reduced anxiety-related vocalization by 52% over 8 weeks. The modifications weren't complex, adding hiding spots, increasing the number of litter boxes, and creating predictable routines made measurable differences. The research also showed that punishment or negative response to meowing increased anxiety and made the behavior worse in 91% of cases. Yelling at a cat who meows at night doesn't teach them to be quiet. It teaches them that nighttime is unpredictable and threatening, which increases stress and perpetuates the cycle. The next time your cat meows at 3 a.m., here's what's actually happening. If they're young and healthy, they're testing a learned behavior to see if you'll respond. Their brain is running the same reward prediction algorithm that makes slot machines addictive. If they're older, they might be disoriented, uncomfortable, or experiencing the early stages of cognitive decline that deserve medical attention. If they're middle-aged and the behavior is new, their thyroid or kidneys might be failing in ways that blood work can catch before the damage becomes irreversible. The science supports you in not responding to learned behavior, but it also demands that you rule out medical causes first. It supports structured play and environmental enrichment as more effective than ignoring alone. It shows that your cat isn't being manipulative or spiteful. They're either following a pattern you accidentally taught them, or they're communicating genuine distress in the only way they have available. The meowing means something specific, and the research gives you the tools to figure out which meaning applies to your cat. If this helped you understand what's happening when your cat wakes you up at night, subscribe for more science-backed explanations of cat behavior. And leave a comment telling me what time your cat decides you've slept long enough. I want to know if 3 a.m.